Welcome to the Lakeshow podcast presented by Jack in the Box. It's a weekly deep dive into the biggest stories and topics surrounding the Los Angeles Lakers. I'm Allie Clifton, joined by my Spectrum SportsNet co-host, Chris McGee, and our Laker insider, Mike Bresnahan. And today is a very sad news as we get right into it. Lakers legend Jerry West passed away at the age of 86. The Lakers shared this statement saying Jerry West is forever a basketball icon. He brought Laker fans their first championship in Los Angeles in 1972 and was an integral to another 6 titles during his time with us. Our thoughts are with the West family and the many NBA fans who honor the legacy. Jerry West will always be a Lakers legend. Before we dive in with our own personal thoughts and stories, we want to tap into an interview we did earlier today with our dear friend, Big Game James Worthy.
Yeah, he was so good at picking talent. I mean, like picking guys like me in the first round over other players like Dominique and Terry Cummins. He just knew how the roles would set up for guys, you know, picking guys like AC Green when we really needed Michael Thompson in 87. You know, one of the only GMs that said, look, I'm not waiting for Kobe. I'm going to take him now. So he had vision and he had a lot of foresight. And, you know, he did so much for the game as far as, you know, making guys aware of who they are and what their talents really were. So he was just an amazing GM, an amazing coach, great insight. And if you got to know him away from the game, you really got to know he just cared about people. He did so much that we will never know about, shared his money and his time. And, you know, he was just that kind of guy. He's the logo, and I think he'll be there permanently.
Great words there from our friend Big Game, James Worthy. Gee, I'll start with you.
Okay.
Your reaction.
Yeah, I mean, it was sad in the morning when we got the call. You know, I feel like my entire life, especially living here in Southern California, Jerry West has been a complete icon and someone that everyone looked up to and revered. And, you know, I got to interview him a couple of times back in the day. I remember going to the golf tournament when he ran the Genesis Open and talking to him about that. And, you know, he was always down to share stories and talk about the Lakers, of course. But just being around, I think, Big Game and Rob and, you know, Byron and Fish and guys like that, and hearing the stories and seeing how those guys looked up to him and felt like he was their NBA dad and such a mentor to so many. I mean, just looking at social media today and you see, you know, Michael Jordan, we know what he meant to Kobe Bryant, Shaq, LeBron, Dr. J, the list goes on and on, crossing generation after generation. Jerry West will always be looked at as the logo. You know, Mr. Clutch, Mr. Laker, all those things. Truly incredible, but also just a sad day, you know. When you lose icons, like losing Bill, you know, a week ago, it's tough, super tough.
Great words, you know. Jerry West is a player, so competitive, and yet so much heartbreak with the finals losses to the Celtics, Allie, and just when the NBA had really just kind of spawned, not that long before that. And then as an executive, so savvy, you know, he never forgot how much it hurt to lose as a player. And he applied that to the front office. And when he went after Shaq in 96, Geet, that was unbelievable. You know, he pulled him away with a big free agent contract from Orlando. And Jerry would later admit it absolutely wore him out to do that. Same year, he also got the rights to draft Kobe. Big trade with the Charlotte franchise at the time. And Jerry just agonized with every game. Maybe not, you know, when you're on the road at Charlotte in January, but the playoff games, the meaningful ones. Probably the Portland Laker game in the West Finals in 2000. I mean, no bigger game than that. And Jerry would have trouble watching these games, Allie, because they were so close. And he was so wrapped up intensely in these games as a front office member. And that's really all you need to know. I love how James talked about his acumen as a managerial guy, too, saying, we want him, we'll trade him, we'll draft him. Very rarely did Jerry West make a mistake as an executive, born out of just his grind as a player. And he got that one championship as a player, and I'm really grateful for that.
I was always told, like in 2000 and some of those championship years, he wouldn't even be able to watch the games in person, and that he would drive around in Malibu and just have the radio on or go to the movie theater. I mean, it was pretty incredible, really, how deep it went for
The
him.
churn was just so much for him. Yeah.
I shared with you guys earlier just how well I thought you guys did, certainly leading the show that we did on Jerry West, and just the connection being here in LA all your lives, et cetera, that you can kind of lean into, or being around this organization, et cetera, something that I don't necessarily have. But I think the one thing that when you mention, it's just like when you lose an icon, right? I think that's the beautiful thing of sports is oftentimes we have this fandom in us that we become such big fans and we feel like we know, individuals more than we actually do. But I think very few greats and stars have that ability to really reach you on a different level. And I think if that's something similar to just being the logo, I did have one interaction with Jerry West when I was filling in on the radio side, ESPN radio with George Sedano. And I got there that day. It was my first year here, second year here. And he told me when I walked in the doors that we were going to have him on the show. And I kind of lost my breath just for a second because it's like, he's that guy, he's one of those guys. But I think too, just as I touched the little bit on the show of watching this current generation be so impacted, by, and you mentioned Bill Walton, and we just saw that, right? And how Big Game shared with us that he was on the golf course just listening to Grateful Dead because of Bill. And, here we are honoring the life and legacy of another legend. And I think it just speaks to the ability of, within this league, the NBA, we often hear guys, former or current players, speak of how it's such a brotherhood and a fraternity. And I think it's very real. And it's moments like this, unfortunately, that maybe sometimes it shows itself in such a deep way because of guys like Jerry West and that generation who chose to take it upon themselves to take from the game or receive from the game, but then give back tenfold. And it's crazy to think that we have so many interviews from him just recently diving into the X's and O's or what he wanted to give, the mentorship. And I think that's just something that, one, is important, as I mentioned on the show earlier. I think it's real. I don't think you get it from everyone. And so his willingness to kind of give that, it's special. And you have moments like this where you have to be kind of reminded of that. It's a testament to who he was, not only as a player, certainly, but also the afterlife.
Yeah, really well said, Allie. And honestly, when I look at Jerry West and you think about just his nicknames alone, you would take any of them, right? I mean, the logo, Mr. Clutch, Mr. Laker, the architect. I mean, he had the most incredible career as a player for 14 years in a Laker uniform, going to 9 finals, winning the first ever championship here in LA, being voted one of the greatest players to ever play the game, to literally having your logo on all the NBA socks and balls and everything that goes along with it. That is his nickname. That is what he is known for. And then to become one of the greatest executives in all of professional sports, like having that touch and that ability to create Showtime, along with Dr. Buss and many others, Bill Sharman and Pat Riley and all the players that were a part of that's a big part of Jerry. And then to do it a decade later with Shaq and Kobe, and then to move on and be a part of the Warriors organization, Memphis, the Clippers. Like, he just really touched a lot of areas. And I don't know how many people in this world you can say were absolutely a Hall of Fame in one area and a Hall of Famer in the other. I mean, the man was going into the Hall of Fame for the third time.
Yeah.
Third time.
Yeah.
1960 Olympic team, executive contributor, player. I mean,
it's hard to do.
I believe it. I saw too, he's the only to be accomplishing that.
I mean, who else?
And he's the only player ever to be a finals MVP from a losing team. Happened in 1969 against Boston. 1965, he averaged almost 41 points a game in the playoffs. Lakers still couldn't win the championship. So definitely some heartbreak with Jerry. And he was very honest and open about it. He was unbelievable. The fact that he was 0-6 against the Celtics in the finals. And he finally got that win against the Knicks in the championship round. But I think that's what drove Jerry, the heartbreak. Hey, look, the saddest / angriest I ever saw Kobe Bryant was in 2008 after he lost to the Celtics once. And Kobe got his revenge 2 years later when they beat the Celtics out here in a Game 7. But Jerry lost to them 6 times. And so he just kept using that over and over and over. First as a player, eventually breaking through with the championship in the early 70s with the Lakers, right? And then again as an executive where he made all the right calls. And oh, by the way, he helped the Lakers get Pau Gasol by trading them to him when he was the head executive with Memphis. So just
and his rookie year is what, 1960? When
1960.
the Lakers were first, when they moved here. Think about
first
that
year of
too,
LA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
The people are like, what's this team from Minneapolis? The NBA was
it's crazy.
not what it was.
It's crazy. Think
Even
about that.
a few years later. And in the 60s, the Lakers needed a star. They already had Elgin Baylor. And Jerry West, absolutely drafted out of West Virginia, hit the ground running, helped propel this team to a nice degree of popularity in the 60s and 70s.
As you mentioned, we see it on the screen, of course, the 14-time All-Star. Every season he played. You mentioned being the Finals MVP, the only player to win it in a loss. Big Game touched on it. As great as everyone knew of him to be an offensive threat and scorer, he was that scoring champ at 27 a game, one-time scoring champ. He was a 5-time All-Defensive Team select. And Big Game mentioned that.
Yeah.
People kind of forgot how good he was also defensively.
Won 33 straight. 33 straight
How about
games.
that?
The year that he did win the championship with Wilt. And the irony of that was the year Elgin, because of injuries, had to retire when that season began, and him just thinking, wow, there that goes, you know, our shot. And then sure enough, it was the best Laker team record-wise of all time until, you know.
And just a great guy. If you saw him work the crowd at the Forum or for 1 year anyway at Staples Center after the arena opened, he would talk to security guards. He'd have something to say to you know, reporters. A lot of jabbing, a lot of, you know, why'd you write that? You know, or why don't you write this? You know, he always had an idea for a writer, an opinion for a writer. And he'd have to talk to executives that he might not have liked. But Jerry would always talk to everybody. And I love Brad Turner's story earlier today on our 1 hour show on TV. He said he got a scoop that Jerry West was about to get an extension, his first extension as a general manager of the Lakers in the mid-'80s. Brad was writing for the Pasadena Star-News. He was scared to talk to Jerry. He was nervous about it. He'd never really talked to him before. He kind of approached him, and Jerry was great. Talked to him for a long time. Didn't quite confirm it at first, but finally, about 15 minutes in, he said, yeah, you got it. It's your scoop. So it was one of BT's first big scoops.
I would have loved to have seen a young, nervous, with hair BT.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you ever think BT was nervous?
That's what it's like. I don't know that guy.
Yeah, the way he described it, and it's just and by the way, Jerry West and Brad Turner, it started a 40-year friendship. You know, as close as a reporter and an executive can get. But that's what Jerry did. He got to know the writers. I'm sure he didn't like all of them. You know, I didn't cover him when he was an executive. He had already gone to Memphis, but got to know him a little bit from afar. And you know, what a great guy. What a life. He will be missed.
Of course, there's endless amounts of stories being told, especially today about Jerry West, and we had a bunch of them on our show earlier here on Spectrum SportsNet. And so before we take a break, we want to actually tap into an interview we had with Phil Jackson on Jerry West.
There's a story that Dr. Buss told me that when he first owned the team, that was the year that they drafted Magic, that Jerry really was enamored with Sidney Moncrief, but he came on board with Magic Johnson. So, you know, there's a little bit of a debate about, you know, all the essence that went into the Lakers building all that talent in the 80s to make that team. Now, later on, he and Bill Sharman obviously, you know, went together to do a lot of the work that brought that team, such a talented team, together. Jerry's been a vibrant, dynamic force in the league for, you know, as long as he played and as long as he's a coach and general manager. You know, Jerry was a promoter of the NBA, a great mind, talent search guy. He had a lot of insights into the game. We have a big loss today in the NBA.
Very true. And, you know, whenever Phil talks, it's kind of like, you know, he's such a student of the game. You know, he played against Jerry as a player when Phil was with the Knicks. And just to hear him talk about, you know, Jerry's the reason why Phil became a Laker coach in 1999. And the team had been struggling for a few years with Shaq and Kobe. Some first-round exits, Geet, I know bothered you, being a recent college grad at the time. And then Jerry West is like, you know what, along with Jerry Buss, we've got to bring Phil Jackson here. That was a huge get for the Lakers. And they won that year right away. Yeah. And 2 more years after that. And Jerry wasn't there for all three championships, for all 3 titles. But, you know, it was a great hire at the right time. And the Lakers and Jerry Buss said, "Let's do it. Here we go."
Let's not say first round exits, Brez. They were swept in like the Western Conference
Yeah,
Finals.
that's fair.
They
That's
just kept
fair.
getting swept.
Yeah, I just felt like the first
They
round
got
was
swept
over.
by San Antonio
You're
and
absolutely
Utah.
right.
They kept getting swept. They couldn't get over the hump.
Right.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, listen, Phil, like Brez said, I mean, you put Phil and Jerry West together, and there's a lot of magic that can happen there. And listen, those are two iconic guys, right? Like I said, I think the hard part for us as we get older is our heroes and the icons of the game get older as well. You hear Dr. J talking about Jerry today, and we've been fortunate enough to be around a lot of these people. And hear from Phil Jackson today felt kind of special, to be honest with you guys.
Yeah.
Who were sitting on that set. You're talking to Phil in Montana.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. And
not
Pat
every day.
Riley's statement was outstanding. I mean, it was a volume. It really was.
And don't you feel like these guys better because of like James and all the guys we work with?
Yep.
All the stories I've been hearing for 12 years here. You feel like you know them a lot better.
That's the bad part of TV because you only get so many minutes with them.
I know.
But the next time big game's in here, I'm sure
Yeah.
we'll continue to tell those stories. So again, a sad day in Lakerland, the NBA, and just the basketball world entirely. As a basketball legend, an NBA icon, and the logo, Jerry West has passed away at the age of 86. Welcome back to the Lakeshow podcast, presented by Jack in the Box. If you're enjoying the show, you can check out more original podcasts from our Spectrum News journalists on the Spectrum News app. Just head to the podcast section to listen to the latest episodes. You can download the Spectrum News app on the App Store or Google Play. Time now for a round of Bucket or Brick presented by Jack in the Box. And we begin with the latest coaching news surrounding the Lakers. Dan Hurley, Bucket or Brick on passing on the Lakers to return to UConn. Michael Francis Bresnahan.
Is there a question there, or just bucket or brick?
Bucket or brick on him passing on the Lakers to return to UConn.
He might eventually regret that. Like, I understand his mindset. He's got deep family roots out east. He was quoted as saying once that his wife would kill him if he moved away from that region. I mean, come on, man, it's the Lakers. I mean, I thought all great college coaches wanted to be pro coaches. I guess not, Geet. And I know you've got a few things to say
Well, no,
on
I'm
this
just saying,
too.
if I bucket it, what does that mean?
You're right. It's very open-ended.
That means
I
you like that he went back to UConn.
That's what I thought. I'm going to bucket it.
Yeah?
Going a little different than Laker fans. He's not ready.
There was no question there.
He wasn't ready. He wasn't ready for this job.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Could not do it. Well, wasn't good enough for this job. He's out.
He's out.
Nope. Bye-bye.
I do like that take.
I do too.
I mean, I'm saying, like, sure, he's an unbelievable college basketball coach,
Yeah.
but I mean, do you see Nick Saban? Nick Saban's the GOAT, right, in college football of all time. Did you see what happened to him when he tried to coach pro football?
Yeah.
See what happened to Urban Meyer?
It's been a few botches. Yeah.
Pete Carroll now, on the other hand, goes and wins a Super Bowl.
It can happen.
That's right, because Pete can do it.
Pete can do it.
Dan, not ready.
Geet, I don't quite
Dude,
understand.
he can pay whoever he wants on his team. He can get any recruit he
There's no
wants
salary cap
on his team and be a Final Four favorite every single year. It's tough to leave that.
Big fish in
It's
a
tough
smaller,
to leave that
smaller
to come to the NBA at an arena. I don't know if he's ever been to an NBA game.
pond. Right.
Have you ever seen Dan Hurley at an NBA game?
That was strong. Sorry, I'm having a conversation with people.
What was that?
I forgot I was on.
Totally tuned
Are
you
we
out.
doing
I'm listening
Are
to
we
you,
cutting?
but you said someone said big fish in a small pond, and I gave a
did.
movie reference.
Oh, okay, good. I
Oh.
thought we were like having to break down and do this over again.
No,
I'm not
no,
doing
no.
that over again. This bullshit. Come on.
I don't quite understand the Laker fan angst about this. Maybe he would have been a
By the
great
way,
coach.
How amazing!
But we don't know.
Brez, how amazing was it when people were like, they thought like they knew for 3 days, then they acted
Right.
like it had been like a
Right.
9-month. The Laker fans went crazy.
Right. This is not
I
a shock.
can't believe we didn't get.
Yeah,
It's like,
right.
what? You didn't even know about this till 3 days ago.
When the Lakers in 2013 decided to go with Mike D'Antoni instead of Phil Jackson, that was a surprise because Phil would have been back for his third tour with the Lakers. This is not a shock. I mean, it's surprising to me that he went back to college.
Yep.
But yeah, the fans who say, "Oh my God, we lost a."
Guys, Coach K didn't come either.
Yeah, it's true.
He passed up Kobe and Dr. Buss, so we
Yep.
got Phil Jackson back instead.
Worked out pretty well.
Like, it's all good.
Yep.
Coach K ultimately knew like it wouldn't work. I'm going to stay at Duke. It's safe. I can be here forever.
He won several more titles. He
Yeah, I
was
mean,
happy.
why, Listen, credit to Woj and Dan Hurley. They got UConn's attention, right? And the Lakers took a swing that
Yeah.
no one else even had a chance at. So
Yeah.
for all those other teams, they're like, Lakers, this, you didn't even have a chance at Dan Hurley.
Yeah.
He's not even considering you. At least the Lakers got an interview. Goofs.
Yeah. Were we supposed to break that?
I'm still laughing at my pop culture reference over here, so I'm going to give it to you.
Can you
and be
sing
proud
again?
Because we all know that there are some people out there that listen to this podcast.
Yes,
and they appreciated my pop culture reference last week. We're not going to put their name out there.
I have 2 friends from Texas.
They said it too?
By the way, yeah, Craig Malloy just
Wow.
was with him at USC volleyball camp. He subscribes to our podcast, daughter.
Wow, yes.
He's an
Appreciate
awesome
that.
volleyball player. Riley, his wife, Robin. Yeah, we were talking.
Appreciate
He's a
that.
big Laker fan. Grew up here.
Oh.
And then my friend Ed Bond, who I went to college with,
know
listens
Ed
to every
Bond.
episode. Played volleyball with him. Yeah,
I love that.
So I have 2. We're big in Texas.
Nice.
Subscribers are
Nice.
important.
2 that I know of.
We were talking to Mitch Heckert last week, the Laker PR guru. He's probably the first person
Props
to
to
listen to the
Mitch.
podcast every day
I
when it
wasn't going to
drops.
throw your name out there, Mitch, but leave
Oh,
it
were
to
you the one
Brett.
he was hiding? He recovered him? Yeah.
Mitch, pound for pound, has listened to more minutes of this podcast than anyone in America.
Thank you, Mitch.
So for
Thank
your
you.
pop culture reference this week, big fish in a small pond is what?
Chris Farley.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm gonna go Tommy.
I would not have got that.
I'm gonna
That
go
was
Tommy
great.
I'm proud
Boy?
of myself.
That was
I
great.
forgot that my mic
Tommy
was on.
Boy?
Yes, Tommy Boy.
You've seen it?
Yeah.
Okay,
That's a
don't
fair
ask me
question.
why.
That's a fair question.
Good question.
That's a fair question.
Yeah.
I actually don't know if I've seen it. I
honestly
think I've
the
just seen
entire
clips.
control room is shocked that you've seen
And
that.
the Luke, I am. That's in there too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen it then. Yeah.
Allie has seen
Sometimes I
2
get
movies, that
confused.
and Matilda.
That guy, the little
That's your
goat.
2 movies.
Fat guy and a little. Last week I was a little off apparently, but anyways, there you go.
We
for
love
your
you,
pop
Mitch.
culture.
Thank you.
I literally forgot my
And
mic
Ed
was
Bond,
on. Be
former
more
CSUN star.
Next, back on track. From the Lakers zeroing in on JJ Redick to the Lakers had Hurley on the forefront of the Lakers search from the beginning of the process. Bucket or brick, you have been entertained by the Lakers coaching search.
I'll go first.
Go ahead.
I'm going to bucket it. I don't know if entertained is the right word, but rarely am I shocked after being around this team for 20 years. I was shocked last week when it turns out that Hurley was the lead guy and he was about to get a job offer from the Lakers, and he did get a job offer for the Lakers. And then I was almost as shocked when he said no. So I don't know if entertaining is the right word, but I think shocked, stunned, surprised is close enough that it's like, this is not your ordinary, we're just going to hire this guy. He's coached a couple other teams, kind of like the Frank Vogel hiring. He's a good guy. And, this has been a roller coaster for sure, Geet.
I was going to brick it, but I think I'm going to give it a bucket now. I have been entertained. I have to check myself.
Okay.
Because I have. Listen, Dan Hurley's a great basketball coach, and I would have been excited if he was here.
Yeah.
Whomever they hire, it's going to be exciting. I just love that it was part of the pregame show before the Celtics tipped off in Game 1.
Yes.
And I'm excited that when they tip off Game 3, the same exact story is going to be going around, and they'll be talking about Dan Hurley passing on the Lakers, and they'll be talking about who's going to be the next coach. That they, even when we go out in the first round, the Lakers can still be a part of the news cycle. And yes, it's entertaining for me. Yeah.
Put that in your pipe and
a lot
smoke
of
it.
goofs upset out there, Brez. Why do we have to talk about the Lakers all the time?
Is that how they sound?
That's how they sound, watching their TV.
Is that a Celtics fan? An upset Celtic
There's
fan?
just a lot of
Yeah,
there's
just
a lot
fan
of there's
bases.
a bunch of tools out there, Brez.
Yeah,
You have,
got that right.
I'll introduce you to a lot of them. Bunch of goofs.
Barneys.
Yeah, a lot of Barneys.
Jimmy Butler, we're going to end on this one. At the Sparks game over the weekend, when talking about Cameron Brink, said that, quote, for some reason, 22 looks good in purple and gold. Bucket or brick, 22 would look good in purple and gold, obviously on the NBA side.
Yeah, I'll bucket it. I'll try to anyway.
Wow.
Is that? I have another one. All right. Must be really tired all of a sudden. And then you got to give a little context with that. Cameron Brink is number 22 in purple and gold, and Jimmy was standing next to her, and so yeah, he was saying, hey, you're going to be a player, you're going to be great, but Jimmy Butler, he looked nice, Geet. The problem is Jimmy Butler, another one of those guys. He maxes out at like 60 games a year. I mean. Yeah, maybe even 50 these days. I mean, not a part of their first round activity against the Celtics. I like him, Geet, but at what price? Oh, that's a bucket.
Bucket from 15 feet. I mean, he looks good in a uniform. Certainly in purple and gold. He's Jimmy Buckets. And media day would be amazing.
What would you do
The hairstyles. If what?
if he showed up at our media day?
Oh, it'd be awesome. We'd have him on set. I'd be loving it. We'd spend the first few
Tough
minutes
guy.
talking about that. alter egos, all kinds of stuff. We all got alter egos. It'd be great.
Do you have an alter ego? You knew I was going there. What is his name?
I mean,
You do.
back in the day.
You did at CSUN, didn't you?
Back in the day,
I've heard you
had
mention
an
this
alter
guy
ego.
before.
Sure.
What was his name?
We'll talk about it off air.
Come on, Geet. You've mentioned it before.
It's a teaser. Yeah, Captain Awesome. No, that guy was.
Peter.
They always put the Captain Awesome picture up there, but yeah, I think everybody in the past has a little, you know.
Shoot, I got one in my present.
I mean, a friend that comes out once in a while.
Allie, what's your alter ego's name?
We can edit this out, or
No,
what?
we're not. We learned last week. Whatever we say stays.
Jimmy Butler did play 60 games this year, by the way. I was just told. So there you go.
All right. Well,
Jimmy's a Sparks fan.
Sparks fan. Happy to see
that
Cam
he
Brink.
is. Everyone
good
is a
basketball.
Sparks fan.
Yeah.
Thanks to you for listening to the Lake Show podcast. That's where we will end. Presented by Jack in the Box. If you like what you hear, leave us a rating or review on your favorite
his
podcast
name?
app. We want to hear from you. Send us your questions. Hit us up on X at Relay Clifton, at Geeter3, and at Mike_Bresnahan. Until next week.
Did you wear a cape?